Every morning, when I walk into a classroom, summer camp, daycare, or poetry workshop, the threads of so many lives seem to tangle, knot, and slide over and around each other. If you pull enough strands, you start to wonder if they're not all, every last one, a tragedy. But they're not. Despite the relentless stream of sad stories, every once in a while one of my kids gets out. This is for McKayla. You see, if Buckwheat had a twin, she was it. Knock knees and elbows, big old buck teeth and braids adorned with neon beads sprouting out in every which direction. When I asked the class the question, what do you want most in life? Following answers like Xboxes, iPods, and millions of dollars, McKayla stood up and said, Jovan, I want parents. Just a mom and a dad. You see, foster care wasn't being too kind to her. She was the woman up in the house at age 10, responsible for cooking and cleaning for a dad who was supposed to be taking care of her. See, he dropped her off early every morning and told her to wait in the bushes until I got there to open up the doors. And as I made my way up that sidewalk, I could hear the bushes singing. And yet I marveled, because homegirl could sing. For 3 years, I watched this bulb of potential flower despite the rocky soil. And though she did bloom, every season it seemed a little bit harder. And I don't think that anyone believed that her dream parents would arrive, because being a 10-year-old foster care kid is kind of like being a 40-year-old pitcher in the farm leagues. You're weary at the mound, praying on every pitch, and no longer sure if you're ever going to make it to the big show. You see, when I said goodbye to her at the end of last summer, her morning melody still rang in my head, and walking up that sidewalk a year later, the last thing that I expected to hear was silence. In less than a week, I was rifling through old files for a contact. When the foster dad answered the phone, I asked to speak to McKayla, but she was gone. No worries, he said. She has parents now, and she's singing in a church somewhere in Tennessee. And I can just see her, flanked by ranks of strong black women, arms spread, making a joyful noise through a tooth-heavy grin that stretches easily to let the stained glass butterflies of her hallelujahs burst forth. And I think, hallelujah. Hallelujah, because so many times we're tangled in these threads of tragedy, so many knots, so many frayed fibers, so many loose ends, so many kids. We have to remember, we need to remember that sometimes they'll end up singing in a choir in Tennessee. You see, this is for every kid that we have to watch struggle, for every horrific ending that we have to swallow and move past, for every time we assure y'all that it will be all right, knowing full well that it won't. The fact that it might is all that we need to go on. So when the knots seem so dense and constricted that picking them apart will only shred your fingernails, you have to be patient and keep unraveling, because one of those threads might, just might, lead to a church somewhere in Tennessee. Hallelujah, McKayla. Hallelujah.